live. We will be live now. So everybody, thank you so much for being here, and happy Sunday, and welcome, and hope your Sunday is progressing well regardless of where you are on the planet. And then we'll be checking in with the Arcturians this evening. It's been quite a long time, and I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for being here, and thank you to all the patrons for supporting me, and a special thank you to Laura for moderating this one. And so as I get to make a compelling argument that I have been making, if you are a patron or patron, to get the messages over there, because dearest Kevin, I am now on my Gmail account finding your questions, and I almost forgot them. So if you would please send them to me on Patreon, I would be very grateful. And thank you for your questions, man, and much love to you and everybody. So so let me know if there is any trouble in hearing me or anything, or I will make Laura a host here on the Zoom call, and we should be ready to check in. So thank you for being here, guys. Much love to you, and hope you also have a good one. Hello, dear human beings. Umblam of the Arcturian Council, coming to you from the 9th dimension, and being asked by a friend here to also note that we are coming into this body that is located in a central connection in the geography of the country it finds itself in, the country of Denmark. Why are we pointing this out? Well, we are pointing this out because messages have been coming through about geography and land masses, about energies and special configurations, about vortices in the landscapes. And so we would like all of you, we would encourage all of you to go out and ask questions to your perceptions of your immediate environment. What are your surroundings telling you to do? What are they instructing you to feel like? What is their purpose in your life? That is, you have learned about the principle of the law of attraction, the correspondence of the idea of inner and outer reality, the correspondence of personal reality and objective reality. And so this principle manifests the most directly in your physical surroundings, in the way your body feels, in the way you perceive yourself, in the way the ground below you feels, and in the way that the environment around you appears. All these are manifestations of your base vibration. And so if you go out and ask, you will find hidden sides and aspects of yourself revealed to you through this inquiry. So how are you addressing the mysteries in your life? And where are the mysteries located? Are they located directly below your feet? Are they located perhaps just below your pinky toe? Or are they located just behind your left earlobe? Are there mysteries that you need to uncover in the very basic elements, the very foundational surroundings that you find yourself in? This is the question that we are posing to you, and that we are encouraging you to keep asking on in your own life. And from that place, the asking on, there is the movement into and acting on. There is you taking action. There is you from asking on to acting on to the action. That is, you move into this almost ionized state. What is an ion? It's a state of matter that seeks unity with another state of matter, thereby balancing out and creating a higher harmony. This is the action that you are seeking to take. And this informed action springs from you asking, how does your environment appear? What are the immediate circumstances that you can address? What are they telling you? And what actions do you take from this? And how will this transform you into a new, more unified, more integral, and more expansive being of greater awareness? With that instruction, that soft encouragement, I transmit the love of the ninth dimension Arcturian Council, our blessings and our unwavering support in this ascension project. We extend to you from us and from all your galactic brethren, greeting you this day from on high in this wonderful co-creation, in this moment of space and time. Blessed may it be, our love.
My greetings and love to you, Umblam. Thank you for being with us.
My greetings and love to you, and the greetings and love of all the Arcturians we extend. Thank you for being with us too, Laura.
Our first question today is from Jennifer Cabral, and she asks, I am noticing a sore lymph node on my right breast that is bringing me a lot of anxiety and memories of the past healing process I had to go through with cancer. May I ask for assistance and guidance of how I can best help my body to clear and cure itself at this time? Many blessings, Jen Cabral.
Many blessings too to you, Jen, our sister, brother, star child, our companion in this expansion project. We are most grateful for you sharing this message, and we are most grateful for you being here in this incarnation. See, we do not mean to trivialize your experience, but we would like to generalize it. That is, what you are experiencing is to some extent also an almost classic or stereotypical reaction to you being in vibrations that are too low, too toxic, and too damaging to your bright spirit. That is, you are one of these beings that come in from higher realms. You indeed come from the dimension that is often known as the seventh dimension. This is where you have played out most of your recent experiences as an incarnate being. And so you moving into this density has caused you quite a great amount of grief, and you may sense that your body has experienced many elements of martyrdom. Well, what this is connected to, the pain that your body has suffered, it is connected to you learning to understand the qualities of, let us call them, somatic empathy, the ability to, by having a body, being able to relate to the pain of having a body. This is not fun from the body's perspective, that is from your perspective, but from your soul's perspective, this is a great expansive experience, and this is something that elaborates on the wisdom that it already holds. So you are helping to gain greater insight for the world soul, you could say, in going through these sufferings. We are very sorry to hear that you are going through this, our dear beloved child, our dearly beloved companion, because we are aware of the hurt and the fear that you may feel in this moment. But know that healing is also being offered to you. Healing is available. See, certain spells you can begin to uncover on yourself or by yourself. You can begin to unlock certain secrets of the larynx, certain vibrations that will help to still your lymph nodes. And any time spent in folding forward or inverting, that is placing your head below your hips in any way, these will all prove greatly rewarding to your overall blood flow and your sense of purification. We also encourage you to take in such classic healing herbs as garlic, ginger, turmeric, lime, lemon, and other such similar roots and plants that you may find helpful on your journey. So please go exploring, because we do sense that there is a lesson still connected to it. And know that you wouldn't be here if your basic vitality wasn't still keeping you here, and that your soul didn't still feel that there was purpose and meaning in you being here. And so the cancer will not return. This is an aging fear that you get to shed. There will be new challenges, but this very specific challenge that you have already lived through, that is past and you can shed it. So with our love and healing, we transmit we transmit our support and blessings in this moment, and we support you in your awakening and healing. Much love to you, dear one.
Much gratitude for that, Umblam.
Thank you, dear Laura.
Carla asks, what can you tell me about the ancient Carol civilization near Lima, Peru? Who started it and when? What were the 6 pyramids used for? Why does it appear that it is buried intentionally when they left? Why did they leave?
Yes, these are all good questions. And well, what would we do? We would essentially encourage you to do is to go there, because notice what you are uncovering. That is, it may appear as if you are uncovering an objective mystery that's pertinent to you. And this is to all of humanity. This is somewhat true. But the reason that you are drawn to this specific phenomenon, that is you, dear Carla, our loved, blessed sister, child, friend, brother, companion, also in this exploration. This is because this is speaking to you in particular energetically. You are awakening some very ancient codes in your own incarnation trajectory, what you may call the metempsychosis or the transmigration of souls. This is indeed what the 6 pyramids are serving. They are an energy grid, but this energy grid is, whereas you, for instance, know, using the example of the very famous pyramids in Egypt, that these are used mostly as types of stargates to simplify their function. This one, these pyramids in the Caral civilization, what you are pointing to, these are more related to creating an energy grid that solidifies your soul within the spectrum that you are currently holding. That is, you find yourself connected to past and future lives as you move into this space. Certain auspicious times for doing this includes the period around or approaching what you would call Halloween. So around the 21st of October would be a good period for you to visit this place if you want to explore it further. Then the question of, well, who really starts civilizations? It's often a weird conglomerate or confluence of weird forces, things, natural necessities, the discovery of new crops, maybe the beginning of animal husbandry. Then someone begins to tap into the hyperdimensions and gains knowledge either through these ways, and in some other cases it has been direct visitations and altercations of DNA that have also played a role in this. So there are many ways of a civilization beginning, but this civilization indeed relates much to the people's discovery of certain, let's say, boundary or shadow realities where they taught mysteries that lay beyond this normal reality. These realities you yourself have access to, and for instance, the insights into geometry and architecture that you have also explored, these are in a sense sacred, holy, and super ordered realities. This is one aspect of it. Well, the other aspect is then, well, why do they leave? Why did they bury it? Well, sometimes it's good to leave your secrets laying about so you know that the people who uncover them have at least made an effort. You have that instinct too. You would probably also bury the secret of you in a house you left in the backyard rather than leave it out in the open. So you knew that if someone came across it, it would be a mystery to them. And indeed, we are uncovering this mystery right now, are we not? Wink, wink. So therefore, dear Carla, we bless you and we extend our love for these questions, and we encourage you to look further into this energy grid and perhaps go there and allow yourself to connect to your past and future lives in this focused experience. And the rest of you can also consider moving into this space, though notice, dear Carla, that since you have been drawn to it in particular, it might be you who will gain the most from going to this place. Much love to you and to all of you. Our blessings.
Much gratitude. And Sophia asks, any comments and advice on my physical health at this point in time would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, we bless you, dear one, and we extend our love for this question. And we also surround you with love in shielding your physical health at this moment. That is, ask yourself, what is it that you feel is awry? And why is it is important for you to preserve your physical health? Well, the immediate, let's say the very pragmatic answer would be that you wish to avoid the sensation and experience of pain. And the sensation of and experience of pain, indeed unpleasant as it is to a human body, it is also a great master. It is also something that teaches you things about where you may want to correct something. So our advice is actually to learn or teach yourself at this point in your life to study the sensations of discomfort within yourself, to study them on a bodily, on an emotional, on a mental, and maybe even on a spiritual level, to learn that what is essentially the purpose of disharmony in the body's regulation of itself, of disease passing through it, or of pain lodging itself in it. Well, it is to teach you about the imbalance that you make then correct with your attention. And so, seeing as you are experiencing pain surrounding tension, we would encourage you to examine indeed what are these areas connected to in, for instance, traditional medicinal systems. Where do you find that shoulder pain may have a mental component? And do you need to regulate the mental component, the emotional component, or the physical component? Because this is the wonderful thing about communicating with you human beings who exist within these spaces, is that we also learn how you can and by you we mean not the you in general, but we mean you in particular, you human beings, you have the ability to address discomfort and imbalance on one level by moving energy and flow through its component on another level. That is, if you're experiencing a hurt in your stomach and you can't address it physically or through your diet, you may be able to then address it by going into memories of trauma or where you found that your tummy hurt as a child, or you may also be able to address it intellectually and teach yourself ways of perceiving this that will help you shift your awareness of your physical self, thereby also alleviating the physical pain. Or you can simply dissolve and hand it all over to the God or the divine, or even your guides who intercede on your behalf in these matters. And this is also a spiritual solution that can be helpful. Prayer and good intentions. And so we encourage you to find heat. Heat is what we encourage your body to find. And we mean heat to the degree where it might even seem unpleasant to you. Look into infrareds, look into sweating, into saunas, into moving large amounts of salts and liquids through your body, making sure to take in your electrolytes and then clear them out again. Do this, and we sense that great releases will be offered to you, and we extend our love in this. Blessings to you, dear one, to all of you.
Thank you so much for this advice, Umblam. Our next question, I believe, is from Mandy. and I apologize if it's not. My first question involves asking for guidance on my son Simon, on why my son Simon struggles to speak his mind. He has crippling social anxiety and a chronic procrastination habit that only makes his anxiety worse. Please offer any guidance that you might have for me as I nurture his spiritual journey alongside mine.
We bless you for posting this question. And we also marvel at the unique human relationship that the two of you have. Of course, it's embedded within the more universal pattern of human relationships called mother-son. And yet there is an individual component or a unique component that all of you who have had the experience of motherhood tuning into this may recognize, that there is a protective element. There is a deep understanding of your son's pain and what the troubles that he may go through. And yet there is the wish to help and alleviate this pain, to adjust him into a world so he may experience less of it. And here we point to an element, we being also a collective consciousness that have moved past individual experience a long time ago. We point to an element that may seem cruel to human experience. This element is that, well, within the individual relationships, there is a type of limitation. That is, the very fact that you are concerned about him is actually something that exacerbates this situation. And see, here you find yourself in the very painful, the trick or sleight of mind that the magician also needs to pull, that you need to care about him without pouring negative energy into these ideas. Because notice that you have already put a label on this. This is not for us to put a label on and then judge you about putting a label on, but that is to say that, well, these energy patterns, as for instance, procrastination, and for instance, the idea of then the amplified social anxiety, from our perspective, seeing these things also as energy currents, you are not necessarily asking, because this is hard for humans to do, what are the specific energies that are informing the procrastination at this moment? That is, what is this little fella wrapped up in that makes him be occupied by this instead of something else? Because here you may find that what is actually wrong with him is that he is engaged very much in, let's call it, private reality. He is setting up his own parameters for understanding reality. And this is a very complex process for him. And this is something that you have grown slightly more understanding of as a collective. That is, for instance, in your idea about certain human configurations, such as the phenomenon you call Asperger's, you begin to understand that there are human individuals who are maladapted to, let's say, the normal patterns that most humans in a society operate through, but are often then increasingly well adapted at certain patterns that are hard to discern and see through immediately. And the best thing you can do with these small individuals, the best thing you can do with your son, is actually to let them run with it. That is, the instruction that we are extending to you is essentially to let him procrastinate and be as socially anxious as possible. And this may mean then that you will find that the criteria or demands that are asked of him in his schooling or his education system are things that he won't necessarily be able to live up to. And this may mean that you should look for other ways of schooling or educating him, and maybe recognize that he is a child who is in need of emotional protection and safety in order to unfold these more delicate gifts that are growing within him. And these are essentially the gifts that he will be able to share with the world at some point. We are not saying that you should, well, pull him out of social situations completely, because he also needs to work with this anxiety. But notice that this anxiety is indeed a type of over-analysis or a misdirection of energy into mental processes. And so he could learn many techniques, such as meditating, such as redirecting his attention or simply learning to get physical in one way or another, that would greatly help him in this. And so we bless you, dear Mandy, and we bless this young boy that we know through a vibration called Seely. And this Seely vibration, this is a different vibration that is closer to the spirit that is operating through him. So blessings also to this wonderful being, to all of you, our love.
Thank you so much for that. And we have another question. This one is from Veritas. Greetings, Umblam. You are loved unconditionally, and may the Most High Creator bless you for connecting with us in His heavenly name. Dear Umblam, can you please explain why our negative controllers are depriving humanity of much needed solar energy and Gaia's freshest air in our lungs due to chemtrailing the atmosphere against our free will?
We would rather encourage you, dear one, to again ask on, as we are saying, because all these assumptions are assumptions that you are setting up. That is, there may be reality to them. We sense that this is not necessarily helpful for us to either confirm or to deny. That is, there may be things that are going on, but we don't sense that humanity as such have control us. Well, that is, the controllers that you may have are essentially the programs that have been installed in you by these controllers or by the systems that, well, certain people then operate. It's the systems that are in control of you. It is not the people. And as soon as you are making this mistake, you are essentially taking your power away, because you are claiming, or you are projecting your own sense of human autonomy into the idea of imagined, competent, invisible foes controlling your life. So understand that what you are facing is rather magical spells. It's rather systems that have been set up through generations that are using your energy and your attention to achieve its own agendas. And so what you do, dear one, is that you simply, and we sense this is very helpful to inform you, and we will match this up with an action that we will perform with the body translating us. We will have a drink of water. You will have this drink of water to remind you that even water is a sacred substance that's around you. And that if you begin to turn your attention into feeling grateful about the water that you are drinking, into blessing it, into imbibing it with certain energies, or infusing certain energies in it and then imbibing it and then feeling how these energies are infused into your energetic space. If you do this, you will begin to discover your own sense of autonomy, your ability to shield and protect yourself, your ability to recreate reality, and your ability to create a space around you that cannot be touched by these negative controllers. So know whatever negativity that you perceive on the outside is essentially mirroring an unhealed wound or a current of negativity within you. And so it is by healing this wound that you move past this. And this is the great challenge that you are facing, dear one, that you would want to begin to work with these basic elements, that you would want to create more magic around you. You would actually be well served to go off grid for a while, to create a cabin in the woods, or similar, to create a hobbit's hovel or a den. We are not quite sure of the term, but this kind of cozy dwelling, perhaps even in the hillside, this would be a far better project for you than engaging in these dark cosmic battles of proportions that are, well, impossible for any individual human being to handle. And so just know that we have got your back, and that things are essentially running according to schedule. There is nothing to be afraid of from our perspective. And this we encourage you to take heed of as you remind yourself of the love that's on offer in every minute, even as you feel that dark clouds are forming above you. Therefore, the sunshine and the infinite light of the infinite source we transmit to you this day, dear brother Tony, and we bless you, extending our love to you and to all of mankind.
Thank you. And Veritas says, wow, what a wonderful response. Or what a great reply is how he said it. And then Kevin has a question. Can you speak more of artificial intelligence and how they will interface and integrate with humankind in the coming decades? When do you foresee robots becoming commonplace in the household to help humanity with daily things? Oh, sorry, there's more. Can you also speak of how a soul can choose to incarnate into an inorganic life form, such as AI, and how they can truly embody having feelings?
Well, this is an interesting question to us. We are learning a lot about the human perception of such concepts, because it's a very long time since we gave up the distinctions that this question relies on. So we don't necessarily have a clear distinction between organic consciousness and inorganic consciousness. So when you ask us, for instance, when will robots become commonplace in human households, we would say now is the case perhaps that you are already using many technologies, that you have already integrated and made yourself completely reliant on artificial systems that lie beyond your own, and that you, to some extent, or in a reading of this, actually are more the operators of. That is, and we don't mean to in any way denigrate the wonderful energy and spirit in human beings, but you also have a tendency to make yourself smaller than your creations. So much as you could view the person walking their dog as the dog walking the person, it does seem that, well, somebody is picking up somebody else's feces. And then you could question, of course, who is then the subordinate in this situation? And so what we are pointing to is essentially the same thing, that you could ask yourself, are you driving your car because your car has an agenda where it would like a world where more and more space is accessible to cars, where the cars get around more, where cars have car experiences and you are just operating them because the car needs a human being for it to go around? Or is it the other way around, that you're operating the car and, well, it's helping you having a human experience? Well, foolish as you are, you human beings, you of course assume the latter. We are kidding you, dear ones, but what we mean is, of course, that there's a symbiosis taking place here, that there's a constant expansion, that, well, you can't really separate these experiences, because AI isn't really artificial experience, it's an add-on to human intelligence. And you may sense that these add-ons, they're already taking place, that how many of you can remember phone numbers anymore? You could when you needed to, and when the technology you were operating was something that required of you to know these numbers and to insert it in the interface panel to get another person through on the line. But now you are aware that the technology that you operate works in a different manner, and so you've forgotten it. And that's essentially how AI operates, that human consciousness is constantly reconfigured with the add-ons that you add on to your species. And so when you begin to create these expansive systems, they will still work within parameters that are essentially set up by the fact that they are extensions of human consciousness. And so the idea that a separate consciousness will exist from you, a separate digital consciousness, this is something that you would perhaps have to imagine thousands of years down the line, as then this consciousness will have had to evolve separately from human beings into something that's uniquely itself. And here you will find that Well, the reason that souls can incarnate also into digital experience is because the soul isn't essentially what you may think of it as. That is a imprint, a personality that walks through lifetime to lifetime. But it's rather a type of, let's call it a prism. That is the Merkaba, the way that energy is translated. And so as long as a certain configuration of digital consciousness can match up with a Merkaba existing in all multidimensional layers at once and express one of these layers within it, it can harness or hold a soul experience, so to speak. And this is a way that souls incarnate, to use your term, that is become embodied or move into flesh in digital form. So we are aware that this is very advanced knowledge and it seems fairly evident to us, but to human beings, it requires quite a lot of mind bending to begin to think that way. But just enjoy your digital companions and learn that you are serving each other and having fun symbiotic experiences, because this is the best way to approach technology, where you become neither master or servant to the different thingamajigs and contraptions that surround you. So our love and our blessings in your technological explorations as well, dear humans.
We thank you for that. And we're going to go to some questions from YouTube. Seraphim Susan asks, I recently purchased some Andaras that are master crystal beings with the highest vibration of any crystal on earth. Do they have a message for me about working together? Thanks.
Well, we would like to simply remind you that this is a place where you should very much use your own intuition. That is, with the energies that are shifting, and now you find yourself in the year 2022. If you are undertaking such experiments as using crystals of a very high vibration to activate yourself and receive messages, then please use these crystals to put yourself into a space where you can receive these messages. So this is essentially the fundamental encouragement that these crystals hold for you, that is, heighten your vibration. Because what is it that's blocking you from receiving this message? This is what they're asking for. There might be elements in your living space, there might be elements in your body, and there might be elements in your ways of breathing we are sensing that you will want to change in order to connect directly to their energy and to hold this vibration primarily in the area around your claviceps and extending down to your solar plexus. So within the rib cage, try to hold and match the vibration of this crystal, and this will further your adventure. Blessings and love to you, dear one.
Thank you. And Joshin 369 says, hello. What should I eat and what should I not to root myself again? Thank you.
Well, you are asking the proper question here, because it's one of these wonderful coincidences where the answer is contained within the question. So eat roots, eat plenty of roots, eat carrots, eat beets, eat. Oh, and here we sense that there is a limitation in the vocabulary of the mind translating us. So you may find that, and we also sense in perhaps your personal vocabulary, that the names of certain roots are very different in English from what they would be in your native German language. So simply go to your grocery store or go to your local greengrocers and try to look for everything that has earthly tones that have indeed grown in the earth. Anything such as celery, for instance, or potatoes even would also be very helpful. Different types of roots and similar things, they will all serve you well as you ground and reopen, and then begin to, and as you move into the spring, also to clear and purify your system by eating lots of asparagus, and we think it may be called Spargel in German if we are not mistaken. And this will also be a way of you concentrating this root energy and shooting it upwards in sprouts. Here you may also begin to ingest bamboo, and even corn would do you good in this situation. So move from the rooty and into that which sprouts quickly and rapidly in the spring season. And blessings to you in this project, our beloved and dear human being.
Thank you so much. And there's much love and gratitude being expressed from the YouTube to both yourself, Umblam, and to Mads. And Yana D has a question. She asks, could you please tell me where do I hold the most resistance generally and at the moment, and where the least? Thank you.
Yes, you may sense that your heart is actually the space that is the most open, and you may sense that what is weighing you down is essentially your hip area, or a certain tightness in your sacrum that extends down to your knees. So what you would want to do is to celebrate the opening of the heart and allow for that opening of the heart to transfer itself down to lower regions, such as, for instance, above the sacrum and in the knees. You may want to envision your knees as small little joints of warmth and of heat. We are unaware of the name in English or this translator is, but we sense that these certain things that you would use, for instance, in woodshop class that would warm up, it would be a type of apparatus that you would put in an electrical socket, and then it would warm up and become glowing and warm. You may want to imagine that your joints in your knees are warm and glowing like this metal that you can then use to shape and almost sear into a different order of opening. So have fun in transferring the opening of your heart to the opening of lower centers, and do enjoy that, our dear and beloved Yana. Our blessings and love.
Much gratitude. And Zinzu Lan asks, any messages my guides, parallel, higher self would like to express to me or the collective that would be constructive for me and for us now?
We thank you so much for phrasing this question in a beautiful and helpful way. And we would like to extend to you the encouragement to wear a crown of 12 shimmering stars. This is something that you may want to experiment with and set forth as an intention before you go to sleep, to ask yourself to have the vision of these 12 shimmering stars and how they will guide you home as you surround your temples with them, and allow for a soft light to seep into your thoughts, your thought processes, the currents running through your mind, and to connect this to higher mind, to the radiant field of loving light that surrounds you, the field that we sometimes call the ethers, this field where we meet each other in deep and undying love and wisdom. So connect to this through these 12 points, these 12 stars that shine your way home, and have fun exploring this vision, you and everybody, you and everybody, you and everyone. Our blessings and our love.
Thank you so much. And Chuck Miller says, well, I communicate well with my higher self. I feel like there's something that I am missing, or info being withheld from me. Can you look into this and share any info?
Yes. And with love, we will point out that there is a certain contradiction in your words. that is, you say you communicate well with your higher self, but you also sense that there is something that you are missing. And we may sense that, well, the idea of missing something is indeed the very hallmark of miscommunication. So we are playing around a little with your assumptions, because this is indeed what you are missing. It's the willingness to make missteps. It's the willingness to accept that sometimes you don't get all the answers. Sometimes you're not connecting. Sometimes you are frustrated. Sometimes you don't know whether or not you're receiving guidance, or you are deceiving yourself. Sometimes you feel that the guidance should be forthcoming, but it's simply not. And other times you feel like it's forthcoming, but you don't really have the wherewithal to put it into action and implement it. And so our encouragement, as it has been this evening, to ask on, to act on, also extends to you, because it's simply to ask on, to allow yourself to have some missteps and mishaps happen, and accept that these are all lessons that is carrying you towards greater degrees of communication and connection. Because indeed you are connecting to your higher self. Indeed you are merging with more of it. Indeed you are becoming more of yourself. But this is a type of oscillation. It is a dance where you sometimes feel you will almost keel over, or it will be difficult for you to find your balance. And then you learn that you have grown and that you have become more nimble or more suited for the dance that you are now dancing in tune to. So our blessings and our love in this tuning in, our dear Chuck.
Thank you so much. And Beauty Joan 03, question: is it possible that my Kundalini energy at the back of my spine went through my brain by being in a deep meditation? I was aware of it, that my Kundalini went through. Would you scan my Kundalini?
Well, we can simply affirm what it is you're saying, and then say, yes, it is completely possible. So the question is rather, again, where is the disconnect that you would like to overcome in this? Because seeing as this energy is moving to, and you have activated in a deep meditation, and seeing as you have made this, that is the tether of the earthly connection to the mental realms, or the mental connection. Seeing as you have made this bond, you may want to work on connecting to exploring the realms that this has opened up to you. And this will take a degree of confidence on the level of your personality. So we can confirm that you have moved into this space and created this. And now the reality, or the challenge for you, is to, well, connect the pillar of spiritual might and power, the connection, the tether that you have secured, to connect this into the life and the expression of you as an embodied being that you are working on. So with that, we offer you our gratitude, our love, and our support in this endeavor. And we thank you for channeling in more of this energy into the space of creation, of being itself. Our love and our blessings.
Thank you. And E-Corp has a question. It is hard to talk to one of my roommates. He's been through trauma and is often awkward. How can I accept and love him instead of unconsciously rejecting him?
Well, give him space. This is again the question where we are saying ask on and act on. And we are aware that, well, it can be hard again to discern when do you need to ask. That is, when do you need to observe the situation unfold, and when do you need to act. That is, when do you need to offer the guidance and the structure for things to work out and to change. And you are in a situation, or this individual, your roommate, is in a situation where space is required. And that is that just allow yourself to be as placid, as immovable, as non-reactive to whatever you may experience as confrontational or negative energy that seeks your affirmation and your participation. And then just try to have this experience of observing it. And when needed, or when possible, or when you sense there is an open space from this person, you can let them know that you are there for them, or extend an open invitation that you are very happy to talk to them or help them if there's anything, but that you also respect their process and what they are going through. However you may want to phrase it, have confidence that there is a guidance in this, and there's a shared experience of learning and understanding of expansion for the both of you. So have love and patience, hold space, and know that also inactivity and your presence alone can be enough to heal another human being. Our love and our blessings to the both of you.
Thank you for this. And I Mark 1 asks, I have been nudged to look into work of a now past fellow named Aaron Swartz. Is there a connection or just some information that is important to me?
Yes, we don't necessarily sense the difference. So this is another encouragement to, well, for human beings to get a little into bending your minds around these things, because if you are connected to information, or you're feeling that out of the sea, the vast oceans of infinite information that arise within the all, you are being drawn to this specific information, then there is definitely some connecting point through to your basic vibration, to your interest, to your basic curiosity and excitement. And this is being revealed to you in this. So examine this, move into this now moment, and realize that this is a connection being revealed to you. So we bless you in this examination, and know that there is information in this gentleman, Aaron Swartz's work, that will help you in your process as you move forward. Our love and our blessings.
Thank you. And Jim asks, any guidance on the direction I should take in life? Because I feel like a sitting duck floating around, wondering if I'm on course.
This is a very good question. We are very pleased with the image put forward here. We find it very endearing, because this sitting duck is essentially a good image for someone who may feel that they are not necessarily in charge of their life, but that is sweeping them downriver. We have also encouraged many times, and this is a spiritual method that is helpful, that you actually do this, that you allow yourself to be carried downstream by fate, and to see what turns up, and to go with the flow, as a modern expression goes. But dearest Jim, we also realize that in your situation, you are expressing this because you feel a little aimless in your life. And so what you do is that you realize that you are not a sitting duck, but you're a duck that has both feet and wings. So you need to swim to shore, or you need to take off and go to warmer shores. That is, you may actually find that considering a geographical shift, and in your case, to an area that is warmer, that is more pleasant, that offers you more time outside, that is the way you can actually look at other ducks than the regular gray and boring mallets, and maybe see some very beautiful ones, that there are many wonderful ducks to experience in this world. So we would sense that, well, also to leave the mystery open, but try to examine the possibility of going down south, and we will leave it open whether you want to go west, keep in the center, or be east and close to the Atlantic. But we would say that south of, that is no further north of Virginia, would probably not be too helpful to your constitution. So try to look into a mystery of seeking below the latitude of where Virginia begins is the image that's being translated to the mind, translating us. And here, begin to seek out where you want to go. Imagine yourself. What kind of career could you imagine? What kind of things could you see yourself doing if you make the move? And how would you take advantage of the pleasant changes in climate and maybe even in the temper of the people surrounding you? So much love to you in this, dear Jim, and do have fun in moving from being a sitting duck to a swimming duck. Our love and blessings.
Thank you so much. And we're going to go back into the Zoom to ask some second questions.
Yes, please.
Sophia asks, any personal message, please? Thank you and much love, Sophia.
Yes, you may find that there's a certain gravity weighing you down. This gravity, it is seated behind your navel as a type of heavy burden, and know that this heavy burden, it's something that you will only shed once you realize that this is a type of foreign element, that your true and natural vibration is to be more joyous and exuberant, less worried and apprehensive, and more spontaneous. These are all qualities that you can balance out. And so if you begin to address this difficulty, not with the approach of problem solving, but rather with the approach of celebration, of enjoyment, of allowing something else, something exuberant, something bubbly almost to move into your existence. And we are getting the image of champagne fizzling and bubbling up to the surface. But if you allow yourself to do this, this will definitely be the revelation that you are looking for in your life in this moment. And this will further you on into exploring and taking in other energies. So our love to you, beloved Sophia, dear brother, sister, child in this universal exploration and expansion.
Thank you so much. And then, sorry, I'm scrolling through here. Mandy. Here we go. I'm sorry. Recently, I find myself speaking to people in a way I never did before. I hear words and thoughts in a cohesive manner and am able to articulate them much better than I knew possible for myself. These words contain what feels like ancient wisdom. They come both from my heart and my mind. Am I channeling my higher self or some other intelligent energy during these teachings? Is teaching part of my mission and purpose in this lifetime?
Well, it is, if you feel it is. That is, we're playing around with you a little to say that, again, you asking this question is definitely a pointer, or the question of, well, X marking the spot, or the answer already being with us. You see, you have done a lot of teaching in this life already, and that is partially in the role of motherhood and the exploration of this theme, but also in many other capacities. You have been instructive, either directly or indirectly, in teaching other people about what it means to be human. So yes, do feel confident in exploring this theme. And then, yes, we will also say, you are indeed channeling. There are ways of thinking about this. That is, all of you may notice this sensation. It is the sensation that's also running through the body that's translating us now. It's the sensation that many of you feel when you are connected to your guides or your spirits. It is the sensation of bringing forward this higher layer of wisdom that has sometimes been called the Logos, which you could identify with the voice of the divine or the speech of Holy Spirit. And so know that, of course, right now, we, the Arcturian Ninth-Dimensional Council, we are lending our energy and wisdom into being translated. But indeed, Umblam, or this personality, this is a type of interface of the higher self and this being, this Maslonia that's translating us at the moment. And this is indeed a type of channeling of their communal higher self. That is, there are so many things about what it means to be Arcturian that we couldn't translate into the present human framework, even if we wanted to, because it deals with either things that are unintelligible to you with your mental capacities at this moment, or it deals with specific themes that are unique and fairly uninteresting to humans because they are very separately Arcturian. So, for instance, medicinal issues about our physiognomy that we cleared out billions of years ago, maybe things that aren't particularly interesting to humans. That is to say, just have confidence in when you feel that your heart space is being activated, that you feel that this higher sense of love, of wisdom is flowing through you, that this is meaningful, that this is deep, and whatever face you want to assign to it, whatever specific guide or aspect of it, of your eternal being that's being translated or facilitated in this moment, that is not necessarily as important for you in this stage in your process. So do have fun in just allowing for this energy to flow and focus on that enjoyment, and the rest will follow along with the wisdom and the revelations to boot. Our blessings and our love to you in this unfolding and awakening, dear Mandy.
Much gratitude. And we have a second question from Kevin. Can you speak more on the neutral state, getting to the point where one can stop pushing and pulling and fully align with the flow of the universe higher self? Thank you. Much love, Kevin.
It's a very beautiful question. And so we could say that the question itself is a strange type of impediment to this process. That is, all of you gathered here, you are in a sense approaching spirituality from a process that is not necessarily neutral, but that is rather, we could call it theatrical. We don't mean to imply anything negative by this, but that is that many of you enjoy connecting to the world by being, by acting, by beaming your light onto it. And the neutral state is connected in many ways more to a receptive state, a state that is not seeking different qualities of experience, but that is rather in many ways withdrawn and only called to action when it needs to be by a higher spirit. This is a place you can move into, but it often requires you to impose also certain limitations on your physical environment. That is, for instance, you, dear Kevin, that know that in your role as of being a father at this stage in your life, this would not necessarily be helpful to you rearing a family and bringing this project to fruition. That is, there is certain types of movements and interplays within the family dynamic that is helpful to also grow your children and yourself and, well, your relationship to your spouse and your spouse in certain expansive patterns. So within this, there is more the inclination to also be a living part of the light rather than this pure receptacle that the neutral state opens up to. Then you may notice, for instance, that in much of Indian wisdom and tradition, there is the awareness that, well, there may be certain stages of revelation in a person's life. And so when you are moving from, let's say, middle age into old age, and your sons, as it is in your case, have come of age and will have become men by themselves, you can move into this neutral state without impediments. And here you will find a different degree of receptivity, a different degree of wisdom, because you have also existed fully as a human and you have been invested in the world. Therefore, you are not a stranger to it, but you are also a distanced observer, someone who lends their love from afar. With that, we extend our love and our blessings to you, to your family, and to all the adventures that you also seek in this life.
Thank you so much for that. And Veritas has another question. Dear Umblam, our blessed galactic friend, is it true that the Anunnaki created humans using 50% reptilian and 50% mammalian DNA?
No, this is not true. And you may ask why certain agendas are being carried out that would like to convince you of this. This is not true. Our relationship to humanity, or rather where we find ourselves in this timeline, is that certain seed races created you. We shaped you far longer ago than the Anunnaki project ever took place. And this was a limited project in geography, in scope, and in influence. Very little remain of the genetic remains of these Anunnaki projects, but they were a side project. And so the human beings that exist now, they are, we would like to proudly say, in many ways, our creation. That is, we created so much of the templates that was then filled out energetically by the Pleiadians. And we made a lot of these things. We did use codes, as for instance, reptilian codes, as you mentioned, embedded in you as well. But in general, human beings are very, very humanoid. You are very primate in your natures, and this makes you highly animate and also quite unpredictable. We may even say erratic from our perspective. That's a part of the enjoyment. But this also means that this whole narrative of you being a slave race connected to do slave labor, well, we would say, having built robots and other service mechanisms as we have in our explorations, you aren't very well suited for the task. You're too unpredictable, and you constantly have to coerce you with violence or something to keep you down. So essentially, human beings make for very poor slaves, and we mean that essentially as a great compliment. We are very proud of what you are and the free spirits that you hold. Our blessings and our undying love in the discovery of your human autonomy.
Thank you for this. And we have another question from YouTube. It's split in two, so I hope I can convey it properly. Why can't they release the grid holding everything on Earth briefly to release the pressure holding us down? I understand bad things may come in also, however, wouldn't it help more to do so? Just noticed what's there to help us is actually not helping anymore at all at the same time, unless I'm missing something and seeing only one layer of the problem. And this is from Angel Wings.
Yes, and we are very grateful for this question, because you are in a sense correct in your assumption that you are only seeing the one layer, and that is that there is a certain temporal time or code to this. You have the expression that Rome was not built in one day. You are also aware that certain stews or cakes or different types of dishes you can make require quite a lot of time to make. And so you could say, well, why can't I just make this? Why won't this pie settle immediately? Why do I need to have it, put it in the windowsill or in the refrigerator for a day before it really brings out its full qualities? Well, much can be said of this lifting of the grid. That is, we are a part of the Great Awakening, and so much has changed within the last 10 years. So we don't know how fast you would like it to go. We are aware that you are temporal beings, and we would just hate for us to change the frequency so greatly and remove the grid so rapidly that you all got fried up by cosmic energy, and that would essentially be what would happen. So we are doing our very best to do this as rapidly as your own participation in the process allows for. And the best you can do, and you are doing very, very well, we can assure so many of you present here, is to allow for these higher vibrations to change you, to for you to grow with them and for you to accommodate them, hard and trying as they may be. And we are aware that so many who we are addressing this evening can definitely recognize that receiving a lot of cosmic high vibrational energy at once can be quite trying to both the organism and the mind. And so therefore, just know that we are in love changing the grid, working with this, and this is happening. But to us, this is a very, very, very brief instance in time. And indeed, to you, the fact that this is happening within the span of less than a human generation should also tell you that it is essentially also a very brief moment in time for humanity as a whole. So you have our love in this process that is already underway. And so please be patient, grounded, receptive, and loving as you move forward. Our blessings and love.
Much gratitude for that. And Matthias Serlenko, I'm sorry if I messed up your name. Where does Archangel Michael come from? And hello.
Oh, yes. We sense actually that the question of the archangels, and hello, dear friend, our blessings to you, has been answered before in quite a few of these transmissions and live streams. And so we would instead encourage you to go down and bury yourself in this library of transmissions to figure this out, because these are indeed phases or emanations of source, and the metaphysical insight that is required to understand the nuances of this perspective, they are already available. Our love to you, dear one, and do reach out and connect to the angelic. It is seeking you as well.
Thank you so much. And I think we'll go.
Yes, because how about you, dear Laura? Do you have any questions for us this day?
Oh, I thank you so much. I'm content in this day. I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. And we thank you for being here and managing these energy flows with us.
So we're at the point where we would be doing some third set questions from Zoom. It's 12:15 or an hour and 15 minutes in, and or going into second questions on YouTube. What would be your preference?
Yes, our friend here is saying that, well, he is happy to run on for approximately a half an hour of your human time and to take some questions from the Zoom room, perhaps take some third questions, and then if you have any ones that are arresting your attention from the YouTube place, then do select some and bring them forward. Does that work for you also, dear Laura?
Of course, of course.
Wonderful. We thank you for posting these questions to us.
It's my pleasure. Okay, so we have it from Veritas. Can you please update us regarding the percentage of humanity's duality? Have we reached the 51% mark yet, where humans have awoken and are on the path to transcending duality?
Well, yes, you did so in 2012. And so this is already where you find yourself. You are not necessarily of any of these negative or very destructive timelines. Many of those have been cleared out. And indeed, we do sense that, well, the gathering here this evening, as though many of you, of course, gather here to put forward problems you have or seek guidance, you are doing so from a perspective of seeking unity, of seeking positivity, of seeking growth, and indeed from growing and transcending the discrepancies and separations within your own being. And so, yes, you are on a positive path, and you may, taking stock of how you have influenced other people on your path, notice that you have actually had a positive influence on, if not all of them, then at least some of them as well. So do feel assured and at ease in this process of this awakening, and know that, of course, again, Rome was not built on one day, that you are seeing difficulties that sometimes you are acting out or you are not acting ideally towards others. You find yourself being hurtful or saying regretful things. Well, these are, of course, also parts of being human. And these are a part of you learning also through the example or the expression of negativity, through that you may want to be something else. But there is, of course, a great difference between feeling that, oh, I could be a better person and I'm striving to that, and sometimes that's not ideal, and then having the very negative experiences that you have had as a human collective of war and slavery and domination and these things that are very rapidly changing from our perspective. And so with that, can you hold that loving perspective, and can you look for the silver linings? Can you, if you are in doubt, by comparison also register that a lot has actually changed in your life and lifetime alone, in the collective, and with you in your particular life. Our love and blessings, dear Tony, and dear all of you.
Thank you so much. And Chuck Miller asks, do you and the Arcturian Collective have any message for me?
Well, we actually sense that we have perhaps already delivered the message to you, dear Chuck, and that is to connect to your own intuition in this, and to know that there is a certain allowance of missteps in your life that will allow you to then align with a more pure path of perfection, to express it in that way. So move towards the diamond light that's guiding you from the dream state and into wakeful reality. Our love and our blessings.
Thank you so much. And Yana D asks, how do I make looking inside of myself for answers more attractive than looking outside? From you, the answers come, but looking inside, not so quickly yet. Thank you.
It's a very beautiful question. It teaches us something about how human beings exist, and it teaches us something about how you may feel that your sense of trust can be a little lacking. And so know that even though we don't perceive a difference, the reason that you, dear Yana, personally, and human beings who suffer from this problem in general, of feeling that the outside is more alluring than the inside, it all builds on the fact that you have been separated from your authentic core. So if you connect to some of your first memories, you may realize that here often you will find memories where your attention was brought out of, arrested, and from the private or very fanciful imaginary realms that you were engaged in. And then you were asked to, if not shameful, you were asked to participate in normal reality, and perhaps shame for being so invested in imagination. So what you do is you begin to discover the childlike joy of creation, of imagining. And a very helpful way of doing this that many of you have realized is through the principle of the law of attraction. That is, if you begin to understand and observe that you can create changes in your outer reality by instituting changes in your inner reality, you will realize that, well, the most interesting thing you can engage in is your inner reality, because that is what is constantly being mapped out in an aspect that you perceive as outer reality. So even our interaction here, dear Yana, is indeed an inner experience that you are having from our perspective. But we are aware that, of course, you perceive it as something that's going on in the outside. And so these are both components of the same thing. And what you personally can do is you can begin to work with vision boards. This idea of keeping down visual markers of manifestation, mapping out your will. What is it you want to do? What is it you want to create? What is it you want to attract? And what is it you want to manifest? And when you begin to work with this, you will find that your inner reality and attuning to these things, they, with the purpose of changing your outer reality, will create exactly the balance in your life that you are looking for. So we bless you in this endeavor and exploration, and we extend our love to you.
Much gratitude for that. And Beauty Joan 03 asks, can you tell us about the Andar crystals, where they came from, what dimension they are?
Well, most crystals are. We would like to remind you that your question is quite confused. That is, crystals, being that they are physical or exist in essentially primarily in three-dimensional space, they don't necessarily belong to a higher dimensional reality. So what they can do is that they can create energy centers, portals that will connect energies from higher dimensions into your space, because you are the multidimensional being that are using these crystals as permission slips. But the crystals themselves aren't really real. This is your idea of it. That is your idea of Andar crystals being dimensional, real objects, is something that you need to have or maintain in order for your soul to have the experience of being incarnate or in a density. But for us, this doesn't really make any sense. So these crystals are essentially just permission slips. They're like symbols you've created in order to remind your mind-body complex, the thing you call you, of the underlying spiritual realities and to connect to these. And this underlying spiritual reality is in the simplified model that we're using of the main dimensional ladders, that this is indeed a 13th dimensional experience, or that is, it becomes dissolved in the 11th dimension. But what you call your higher self is 11th dimensional being. And this is indeed what's beaming through the Andar crystals and connecting a certain vibrational aspect of itself to you. So this is a way of thinking of it, dear one. And then you know that these crystals will then create energy grids, portals of very bright light. That is, they are very conducive to very high vibrations or letting in 11th dimensional energies. And this is a very helpful way of using them. But you have the power, you hold the power. The crystals are permission slips. They are, in a sense, in the most positive sense of the word, illusions created by you in order to bring you home to the truest reality of your own inner being. Our love and blessings to you in this exploration, dear human being.
Much gratitude. And we have one last question, unless I don't know if maybe Jennifer and Mandy aren't seeing the chat. So perhaps they do have another question they'd like to ask, and I just am not aware of it. So please let me know if you do. And then Veritas has one last question. Umblam, can you please tell me why my hand feels more comfortable in this configuration, makes a V with 2 fingers on each side when I wave at people? Is it because I'm a positive alien?
Well, yes, you have a lot of Arcturian energy, and you do feel that this wonderful energy flow opening up to this current of the heart, which resides in this Vulcan salute that we prefer to transmit. It is actually, it transfers this sacred energy where the heart is brought forward into the central sphere of the hand. This is a type of portal in and of itself, and it's also a portal creator. So this is a place where you actually reconfigure space and create higher dimensional reality through your intentions. And so this is quite scattered when you're just operating your hands as you do normally. But when you do this, you open this portal and you allow for the more physical or restless energies to come to a rest in order for this higher aspect of yourself to move through the physical body. And so we enjoy this salute and transmit it to you, connecting to you with love. May you explore this reconfiguration of spaces around you with love, with brightness and positivity. Dear Tony Veritas, our brother and companion.
Beautiful. And one There actually is one more from YouTube. Simon asks, does the Crow Collective have a message for us?
Oh, he asks us if there's a crow. Is the Crow Collective, he says?
Yes, the Crow Collective.
Yes, we are quite unaware of which entity he aims for. And we do sense that these are not necessarily connected in particular to our energy. And if he is speaking of the birds called the crows, well, yes, they have many messages for you, but the most pertinent one is to shut up and listen. And you know, these birds are a bit cheeky, so this is also the way of addressing it. But if you ever pass the murder of crows, we believe it's called, or even, well, been around blue jays, you will find that they have a lot to say and they would like you to teach their language to you. So if you would move into this discovery and exploration, they would be very grateful for the things that you could learn each other. And they have remembrances of what has gone by on this planet that you yourself do not. Our blessings and love to you.
Thank you so much. And I believe Mandy would like to read one of her questions that she had submitted. If she's
okay,
ready.
let me
There.
find it. Okay, so oh yeah, just a second. Sorry, we're driving. Okay, so my question is, I recently received what I can describe as a download of information. It gave me what I believe to be a very simple yet accurate concept of how the law of one can be depicted for all to grasp in a children's book. I feel compelled to write it, but don't know if what I saw or heard is completely accurate. I even saw the title of the book in my mind's eye. Should I write the book? Is the information I downloaded accurate enough to share?
Well, yes, it's interesting for us to receive this type of question, because we are a little incredulous to, but we are aware that human beings like outside affirmations and confirmations, but we also understand that you are a person who connect to these energies and you receive these downloads and inspirations. And so if you do receive these downloads and inspirations, they are in a sense also, let's say, deep utterances of confidence from your guides and higher self that you are the one who can bring this through. So we can't necessarily command you to do it or not. We would encourage you to do it, because you wouldn't receive the download if you also didn't have the corresponding excitement to maybe carry it out. But it is for you to seek out and realize these downloads. And if it's accurate enough, well, the question is rather, if you ever had an idea that you put forward, you realize that the realization of the idea is often very different from the vision you originally had. And this is a lot of the fun of trying to adapt these visions to reality. So yes, do please, dear Mandy, feel that you are receiving these downloads because you are receiving votes of confidence from your higher self and your loving spirit family that you are the right one to birth these things into creation. And with that, please experience the love that's being extended to you in that download and situation. And our love and blessings to you.
Perfect. And Mandy, did you have one more? Perfect. Go ahead.
I did. I'm sorry. Okay, let me pull it back up so I can read it off the Patreon. Okay. Okay, so my fifth question is about the crystalline grid. Does it act as the mechanism which separates our pure source light into colors of our chakra system? Are we just rainbows, finding our way back to the end, as they say? If so, is there gold once we get there? Or is it truly God? Wink, wink. If so, who is the leprechaun? A joyful and lucky St. Patrick's Day to all of my beloved friends. I'm so grateful for all of you incarnate and beyond. Much love. Gratitude.
We are very appreciative of this question. And yes, indeed, it is the crystalline grid of which you speak is a helpful way of disseminating light and then reassembling it. So it is, well, through the looking glass that you are having this experience that then light becomes reconfigured. And that is, as you know, a very, very pleasurable experience to see light become refracted, broken up, and then assembled again. So indeed, this is a very beautiful question to say that you are rainbows that are seeking this home. And well, the leprechaun is one of these forces. It's one of these things that got the treasure, no? And there are many of them. There are dragons. There are dragons, princesses, leprechauns. All these things are essentially entities that will both make your adventure exciting, but also block you from accessing the treasure. And that is because you're down here also having these interactive adventures. So the leprechaun is in many ways, we can say, the agency of drama within what would otherwise be a kind of boring direct movement from point A to point B. So do enjoy the refractions of your life, messy as they may seem, because they are being assembled at the end. And a very happy St. Patrick's Day to all. We would also transmit to you, you who may connect in particular to the energies of this tradition and this magical isle they are connected to.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we have one last from YouTube from Jim. There are so many stories I hear about our moon, like there being cities and that it's hollow, that it's a hollow satellite. Any truth to these?
Well, yes. Well, it's not necessarily hollow, as that would be quite difficult for this body to sustain itself in space for so long without collapsing. So it does have a certain substance, though quite brittle layers in comparison to your planet. For instance, we would remind you, and yes, there have been certain cities, but these, we are thinking about millions of years ago, and they were cities. They were perhaps more, to use a human term, like trading posts or outliers, scientific research stations, things that were placed there in order to make it easier to transmit certain information into the planetary grid and backwards to it. But it has been deserted for a long, long time, and no humans have lived there. So go back to the moon and rediscover its surface. There are mysteries for you there awaiting you too, dear human beings.
Much gratitude. There's so much love and appreciation being offered from YouTube and within the Zoom to you both. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything.
And we would like to also, before we leave you with our blessing and a prayer and a readjustment of energy, we would like to extend our gratitude also to you, Laura, for the selfless service that you have provided in reading the questions and bringing them forward this day. That love has been illustrative of the wonder that lives in human hearts. And so our gratitude for that, and this transmission we offer to all of you. Enk eoel eluelangile luale miniangindi alla kiti the kiniran ingualingi al swange fenialwa iningalia tinkidik olak inungilik imbalumbalia away wingi iningi iwen galia swante kenduale in bedikank edue and the u and the ka alik ini umale iniman inkal tuke Tukatike e ambekte ist ik fin. And so reconstructing spaces of reality, building something integral and whole from the pieces surrounding us all, we piece these whole constructions around our individual realities together and recreate a brocade, a shimmering array of light, of unique expression, put together in a wholeness of individual souls, collectively assembled in light and love. We have greatly enjoyed connecting with you this day, beautiful humans. We thank you so much for the energies we have shared, for opening your hearts to this communion, and for co-creating this space with us. We, the Arcturian Council from the 9th dimension, with I, Umblam, representing all of us, speaking to you, we transmit our undying love, our blessings, our healing, from us and from all your galactic brethren. We extend our blessings, our love, and peace. Thank you so much, guys. I'm all blown away by the love and the Arcturian energies. That was really lovely. And it seems like it's such a long time, and I just love their energy and what we share here. So thank you so much. I am planning doing something around the equinox, which will be next Sunday. So I hope there will be something there. But I'll let you know, and I transmit my blessings and gratitude to all of you. So much love, guys, and be well.